all beings, y'all. Let's get it.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together.
Yeah! Welcome back to Calling All Beings, baby. I'm your host, DJ. So happy to be back. It seems like it's been forever, but I am back, and I'm back with my cabbie crew here. Let me get to them first, man. Let's not waste any time getting to my co-host, my co-collaborator, co-conspirator, the man who is the king of on-ramps, off-ramps, unpacking, and ontology. Money Nathan, what's going on, baby? Let's get ontological to start that show off right now. Yes.
We're gonna have a good time tonight, man. It's good to see you guys.
Ontology, baby. Look down because he's right below you, Nathan. There he is, right there. Yes, there he is. The sexy being. He's holding the pillars up like Samson. Hopefully nobody will cut his hair in mid-show because something bad can really happen. Hi, Kevin.
Hi. My Adam's apple jiggles. I see it. It says hello, everyone. Oh. Right.
We're getting into some. What's that movie with Arnold? I can't remember. Where
Conan, maybe, or I don't know.
No, the one with Sharon Stone is his wife. I can't remember now.
Oh,
and
True Lies. No.
It's not the Joppa
It's
one.
the one with he has the mask that comes off.
Yes,
that he's at Mars. Get to Mars.
Oh yeah, right.
What is that one called?
It's
Total
based
Recall.
on a Philip K. Dick book. No, I can't.
Total
think
Recall.
Of the name
Yes,
of Total Recall.
Yeah, Total Recall was a great movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
and Kev, if you can just look to your left at our friend right there, she is the therapist. She's a therapist not only for kids and adults, but for UFO Twitter. So party people, put yo hands together for the host of Deb's Data Dojo at a study of UAPs. Deb, how are you, my dear?
I'm doing great. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Deb.
Great
Hi.
job last night. But now let's get to the man of honor.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll tell you what, man. I'm very excited to talk to this guy. He has a really cool background. He's going to tell us what his occupation was. He was on the bad side of cyber. Now he's on the good side of cyber. He's a badass. He's in the Masonic order. So everybody, all right, get ready for this, man, because tonight you facing the Mason. So put your hands together for Jon Majerowski. Woo!
Man, I
Put
feel like
their
I'm gonna...
hands together. Wipe that chicken grease off your hands.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Wow, it feels like I'm either back in the club or getting ready to wrestle, and I can't figure out which one, but I'm excited about
Both of
it,
those
so.
vibes are good. Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. Wrestling at the club. That kind of wrestling.
I tell you what, man. Cool voice, cool vibe,
Oh,
cool
thanks,
hair.
Oh,
Like we
man.
said earlier, you
making
probably
me
smell
blush.
good. What do you got to say for yourself, Majerowski? What's up, man?
Well, thanks for inviting me. I got the red jacket out tonight. I figured it was going to be a special night, and I brought
Yeah,
a
baby.
whole entire bottle because I figured it'd be that kind of night. And well, it started out as a bottle. We got it that far.
Hello.
The total package.
Yeah. I'd like to be remembered as the Dean Martin of ufology. So that's how I want to go.
Oh man, I love it. I'm trying to remember the song that he did. His
There's so
famous
many
song.
good ones. Don't worry,
Yeah,
they're all amazing. Every single
great
one you
crew.
hear, it's the best.
Dean Martin is cool, man. Part of the Rat Pack.
Yeah,
with
totally.
Sammy Davis Jr. I'm trying to remember. There was a British guy as well that I can't think of his name, and obviously Sinatra. So,
Yeah.
but
Great times. Great times.
yes. But you know what? Let me turn it over to the money man. He's gonna take it away.
John, great to talk with
Nathan,
you. Good to have you
Good
with
to
us.
talk with you. You're the only guy that I know that's actually seen the face of one of these people that we know. Excellent
Yes.
Academia.
Yes,
You're the
our
only guy
mutual
that I know
friend.
who's actually seen his face, right?
Yeah,
You're his friend. You could do a show with him.
I just had a drink with him last night. We had a great time.
He is human, right? I just
He's a
wanna get
real
that out.
person. I mean,
Okay,
I think
all
he's a
right.
real person.
Well, I mean, you've seen him with your eyes.
yeah, I have, but it's hard to know.
Hey,
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's another person who I've seen in real life over here on our show.
Evan
Yes.
first gravitates to Nathan.
Yes. Well, anyway, he sends his regards. He wants to let you know that he's a big fan of you as well.
Oh,
And
big fan
and
of
John,
him,
I've been
man.
listening to you for a while, man. I love what you
Oh,
do. I
thank you.
love your insight. I've honestly never known a Freemason like that. I knew that they were a Freemason, and I think it's pretty cool that you've been so forthcoming in this community and
Thank
bringing
you.
that
Thank you.
background to bear. What's something that kind of has maybe like surprised you about your engagement with the UFO subject with your background?
Um, well, I think as a Mason, kind of
Yeah.
in that regard. Well, the cool thing about being a Freemason and Freemasons in general is that we're pretty tolerant of everything, and I'd say that to the extreme, right? So, obviously, if you look back historically, most of the revolutions were kind of, hatched maybe in a Masonic lodge, and Freemasons had a lot to do with it, and basically bringing that sense of freedom, individuality to everybody to have their own decisions and tolerance for all, So, the tenets of Freemasonry are really along those lines, faith, hope, charity, and things like that. And when you look at this subject, it's kind of one of those things where, you would think, we've all experienced taboo, right? Where we talk about at the dinner table or, even our own families or friends or things like that. And everybody, says, oh, this tinfoil hat and you're crazy and stuff like that. But in the lodge, I never really, I've talked about it, but not like obviously during a lodge meeting, before or after, things like that. Obviously, there's not a lot of just open floor to be, like, hey, get out there and just start going off about, this phenomenon or anything. But, I talked to a couple brothers and there's a lot of servicemen and, that are Masons, that were in the service currently or, retired, things like that as well. And a lot of that. So it's not like I'm telling them anything they really don't know. And I think it's, it took a lot for me in the beginning to go out and just kind of just start talking about it. But once I did, it was kind of like you find your ilk, and it's not only just the UFO or the phenomenon thing or whatever. It's kind of about talent, like I said in the beginning, like kind of tolerance for all and be able to just say, okay, cool. Maybe you have this different background that I'm completely not even aware of or part of. And I have no idea about, but, I respect you as a brother and your opinions and things like that, and you entertain it and you learn something all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I went with it. And recently, I think it was last week that I put a video of a lecture I gave to my brother's lodge, Rubicon, and that was the first time that I really got in front of that many Masons and kind of just went, blah, this is me, and this is like what I do, Yeah. And it was really well received, and I'm still getting emails from brothers, and nice. After that lecture, I think I stood there for about another hour and a half and just had guys come up one by one and just tell me the most amazing stories after that. Wow. They didn't feel like they could tell anybody before, and it was like now that it's out and the way I kind of laid it out, it was like this is real. The stigma's gone. The way that because there was a stigma for so many years, it was definitely created for a purpose. The Robinson panel set that all up, and we're still living and breathing it now. So, it's don't be afraid to talk about it. And I think it kind of opened the door a little bit. And a lot of guys have reached out. A lot of brothers have emailed me that I haven't met before, but they said, hey, I was kind of afraid to talk about this now, but thank you for doing that. Mm-hmm. Now I kind of feel more inclined to be able to do it in my lodge. So I think that's rad all the way across the board. I think I talked way too long, and I'm sorry.
No, I thought it was amazing. And those of you who are listening with us now or listening later, you definitely got to check that out. Go to John's channel, UFOs on the Level on YouTube. It's one of your most recent posts or videos there. It's really well done. A great summary, honestly, of kind of the topic from kind of recent events and even old stuff as well. You mentioned the word tolerance, and that's not a word that I think of in terms of a synonym that I would use for the UFO Twitter community, at least in the last few weeks. And I was wondering, I really wanted to get your thoughts because you've been living in community, an intentional community for so long. Right. What are some, kind of tenets and values that you think we would be well served to adopt as we kind of interact with each other in a charitable way? Kind of turn down the temperature a little bit. What are some advice you have there?
Well, some of the core tenets of Freemasonry are brotherly love, relief, and truth, you know, and those are the three cores that you kind of go back to, you know, brotherly love for your brother, your fellow man, you know, woman, you know, just basically self-explanatory, you know, relief worthy and distressed people that need help. You know, there's people out there that are suffering that actually need help. Maybe they just need somebody to talk to. Maybe that, you know, they've gone through some experience and nobody wants to believe them, or, you know, maybe they've been subject to some type of experiment or something that, you know, we can't even explain. And they're just looking for a voice, you know, and truth. I mean, it's obviously the truth, and we all want the truth, right? So I think that, you know, a lot of the times we're so quick to just jump on things and you know, nitpick and get at things. And we look at the, you know, the characters that are in that tweet, right? We never look at the person or the rationale behind those things or what it is. And, you know, I think it would serve people well to just, you know, take your hands off the keyboard for a second and just think about it, you know, just kind of think about it, you know. And a lot of the times, and you know, from my day job, my security background, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, that we're out there thinking that we're interacting with actual humans, and they're bots, you know, they're actual AI, they're programs that are just written to engage people and just hit pressure points and, you know, just amp things up and create havoc. And, you know, that's sometimes lost on people. I think it's lost more than you would think, you know. So a lot of times when you're screaming at, you know, Billy, who's, you know, just saying a bunch of garbage, that could just be a bot, right?
Has that been GPT-3 that's kind of like created that situation? That
I'm not familiar with that.
The GPT-3 is like the AI sort of natural language machine, or it's like the latest iteration of that. And there's a lot of cool things it can do. Like there's an app you can download called AI Dungeon. You can basically have your own little like interactive. Remember those like games when we were kids where you could kind of like, you type in a text command and you go down a hallway, and then it's like open the door or look in the box. It basically creates a game like that, but it's entirely AI driven, but it's based on this natural language AI that they created.
I thought he was talking about the upscale package of the Trans Am that you could order. When he said that, I was like, wait,
it gets that too.
I saw that,
yeah,
man. I kind
it's
of like
that
that
too, for sure.
The Recaro seats.
That's a great point that you bring up, though, John. And I don't think I knew that it was that prevalent. So
it's really prevalent. I mean, and it's used a lot by the you know, the military industrial complex, whatever you want to call them, right? So the agencies, because, you know, nobody's paying anybody to sit behind keys, you know, anymore. I mean, you could create natural language chatbots that can go out there and do that. I mean, a lot of the times you ever go to a website that little thing pops up in the corner. It's like, hey, do you want to talk? Hey, what's going on? Can I tell you? You know, and you can actually talk to that thing forever. You know, Amazon uses it too. When your package is late or something, you're like, hey, what's going on? And you get through 10 minutes of this thing talking to you, and then it's finally, let me connect you to a human, you know? So those things are really prevalent, and they're out there all over the place. And it's, I mean, and you think about it in terms of not only the United States government, it could be other governments, right? It could be a host of people, or just, you know, any nation states, governments, whatever, doing it. So you got to kind of take it with a broader scope, you know, with a broader brush when you're looking at those things. And, you know, I'm not going to say that I don't get affected and things like that too. I think my gut response sometimes when I don't know how to respond is just to send a meme, you know, just like, yeah, respond to that chatbot, you know, I mean, I don't know, but
I think what you started off with, though, I think we should all take stock in. And you mentioned that your brothers started to come up to you and talk about their experiences and share. And if we were having this conversation, so let's say it's 2022, if we were having this conversation in 2017 or something, that's not happening. People are not coming out and talking about their experiences. I didn't talk about my experience back then and wouldn't have. And so I think there's something to take stock in how far we've come, that while it's not mainstream, I mean, anybody that says it's mainstream, I got news for you, it's not mainstream. But the fact that people are having the conversation in public without feeling stupid means that we've made significant progress since TTSA, the Navy videos, Elizondo, and all that stuff. We're in a different place now, I think.
You're right. You're right. No, you're totally right. And that's kind of how, when I built that lecture, I mean, that lecture, I've been working on a lecture for about 4 months, believe it or not.
Wow.
And it's just been like, well, because I wanted to, you know, we're looking at guys that are 22 to 98, like no joke, right? That's literally the age range. So you got the guys that were actually in World War II, right? You got the guys that were in Korea, Vietnam. You got all of these things that people have been in these. If you just look at the major battles of the United States, but then you got guys from a wide swath of different backgrounds and understandings of things. And so what I wanted to do is kind of paint it into a picture of, okay, these are the major cultural things that we're aware of, but here's the underliers, and then here's what built upon that, and then kind of build it up to where here's what happened in 17, here's what happened with the long behind the scenes before that, and then here's what happened in 17, and this is the rocky road we're on now. So it kind of paints it in a more up to date kind of mindset, and I think that kind of really worked, because I had guys that were just kind of like, they were like, hey, I really didn't even think about this at all, but this is pretty cool, and I'm going to go do some research, which is great. You know what I mean? That's awesome, because if you can get somebody to kind of get into it who maybe didn't have any idea, but now they're into it, I mean, that's perfect. Then you got the other guys that are like, yeah, I've been into it forever, and that's rad too. But big swath of everybody. So yeah.
Flares, what do you got for John? You both have great hair. What would you like to talk about?
Oh my
Other
God,
ones here.
I got so much to ask you. Thank you for being here. And by the way, to you, the listeners, if you haven't watched what he put together, it's almost like a documentary. Is his lecture? In fact, it's better than a lot of documentaries. If you're just getting into the UFO topic, like a lot of my friends on Facebook, please watch his lecture. It's going to give you a great primer on everything. It's just perfect.
And it was 130 slides I delivered in an hour and 20 minutes.
It's a great listen, I got to tell you.
It's terrible. My wife was I kept like trying to run it past my wife. She's like, "That's stupid. Quit putting slides in. There's too many slides.
Take 70 out."
She's like, take 70
Oh my
out.
gosh.
Jesus. I'm like, I can't. This is important. It's the thing. Fatima. We got to can't take Fatima out.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Gotta have
Thank you. I
Fatima.
really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, as a Mason, you've got Houdini was Freemason, Mozart, Buzz Lightyear, Randall Carlson, the hero of mine. Have you met Randall?
Not in real life.
Okay. That wasn't the question. So how does
Sorry,
So how
and
does
Deb,
being
go
a-
ahead. No, I'm just kidding.
so how does being a Freemason affect the way you interpret your understanding of the UFO phenomenon?
Oh, so that's rad. See, and I talked to Scott Walter, right, his brother as well, and and I was like, Scott, I've been looking for this. I mean, Scott's great, man. He's done so many TV shows, and in his own work, and his Masonic lectures are amazing too. There's a couple of them online if you go look for them. But I was like, Scott, where's the connection, man? I know it's here. I know it's there. I know it's in somewhere in all these things. And it kind of like how what I found is the symbology, and it always goes back to esoteric. I really had a small understanding of esoteric knowledge before I became a Mason, and what I did is basically open up the door for me to do more research and kind of do my own research on a broader understanding of how that plays in everyday life. And let me try to come up with a way to explain this. Well, after I became a Freemason, I started noticing symbols and things on buildings that I never noticed before, right? Like cornerstones are a Masonic thing where you, for a foundation of a building, you're building a new building. Washington actually laid the foundation for the White House, the Capitol building. Like, it's just a big ceremony that Masons do. It's a big thing, and you put this giant cornerstone of the building in, and it's a big ceremony, and it's actually engraved, and a lot of times those are actually time capsules as well. So if that was 1862 or whatever, there's a big giant time capsule and stuff like that. And the year that it's Anna Lucas for Masonry, so it's 4,000 years ahead of what our current year is, right? So if right now it's, what is it, 6022. So if we put a cornerstone on a building, we'd put 6022 and stamp it on there, and then we'd have the actual date or whatever. But I walked by those my entire life, and they're everywhere. If you start looking for them, they're right there. Boom, boom, boom. They're everywhere, right? So things like that, and you're like, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that, And then the square and compass, the Masonic square and compass, that's kind of everywhere too. It's built into streets. Sandusky, Ohio, which is not too far from me. The whole entire downtown area is a square and compass because the guy who's a street planner was a Mason, and he laid it out. And so the middle of the town is right in the dead center of it is the Capitol or the courthouse and all that. And then everything else is a square and compass that are there. So like there's all these symbols that are hidden there. And I'm thinking to myself, well, like if that's possible, then anything's possible, right? I mean, because like if it's been in front of you your entire life and it only took this experience that I went through to kind of like wake me up to see it, then what are UFOs, right? I mean, is it the same thing? Are UFOs just a symbol that have always been there, or a symbol of our subconscious or unconscious or whatever that we walk by on a regular basis and attribute it to nothing or something else? So I think those things were the kind of my catalyst for me to kind of go looking deeper into everything that I had already kind of looked into.
That was a beautiful tie-in at the end. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kev. That was a beautiful tie-in.
Now,
Cool.
if I stop making sense, just let me know.
No. Actually, you mentioned the shapes, the compass, that sacred geometry, right?
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, the sacred geometry, those are the basic patterns of existence in the universe. Well, at least this universe, if you believe in that.
I love it.
Right. So do you have any knowledge of maybe how these concepts have been bridged into the UFO phenomenon? Like, I'm having trouble with I'm having trouble with that one. Like, maybe precession, I can see the stars but yeah.
So, all right, give it to me again. So sacred geometry in terms of
How
the universe?
has it been bridged into the UFO phenomenon yet? Do you know of any?
Bridge between the geometry of the Masonic order and UFOs.
Yeah, into in the phenomenon. Have those two? I guess those two worlds collided.
Not specific. Like I've never seen like a square and compass crop circle. Is that what you're getting?
I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no. I mean, I haven't seen that. I mean, that would be super rad if it was.
There's one in Des Moines. It's just outside of Des Moines, John. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, I thought it was Sheboygan. I thought it was Sheboygan. I was going to Sheboygan next. Somebody told me wrong. God, no. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's symbology in everything, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I've sat through lectures with brothers that did sacred geometry lectures that'll blow your mind, right? And they tied into Freemasonry in a way through symbols and, you know, basically the core of the universe and, you know, the Fibonacci sequence and, you know, everything, you know, that all lines up, the golden ratio and all that stuff. But, you know, I'm not sitting we're not sitting in lodge going, yeah, this is the golden ratio lecture. You know, I mean, it's not. So it's kind of hard to explain, but Masonry, you go through 3 degrees, right? And you go through 3 ceremonies, rituals, right? Through each degree. Yeah, entered apprentice, fellowcraft, master mason. And through those things, you experience the degrees, and basically you regurgitate those degrees back to be elevated to the next degree, right? So you go through the first degree and all this stuff happens to you, and then you have to like interpret what happens to you and repeat it precisely the way that it needs to be repeated to the rest of the lodge, and everybody goes, okay, cool, you got it, you can pass to the next degree, right? So that happens in succession, right? 3 times. And it's not until really you're outside of that and you're a master mason, you're sitting on the sidelines and watching somebody else go through it, that you visually recognize all of these different patterns and these different things that are going on. And you can definitely dig into it as far as you want. But basically, it's like symbology hidden in allegory and, basically ritual, right? So there's a lot of, like I said, I was in Shadows of Your Mind magazine last issue, and that was great. Dave's an awesome guy. If you guys haven't read Shadows of Your Mind magazine, it's amazing. Dave does all that himself, right? And he had a little bit of help in this last one, but he put that in there, and when Dave and I talked for like 2.5 hours, and he cut up a bunch of stuff and put up, and I just let him run with it because he's great. But one of the quotes I put on there is like some people become Masons and it just goes right over their heads, and I meant that in the most loving way, where it's like, okay, cool, like you get the foundation of things, you kind of get the understanding of what's going on and what happened to you, and maybe that's it. And other guys like me, like I go right to the bookshelf that nobody's touched forever, and I unlock it and I'm like blowing off books, and I'm that guy, right? And I'm going through like a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm asking the guys that have been here for literally the guy who's like 98 going, okay, what does this mean to you? And it's cool because you can have that conversation and you can interpret it in a billion different ways, right? Or you can just be like, I got the ring and now I can go to the pancake breakfast. Like there's a whole bunch of different ways that each person, it affects each person, right? I've met some Masons that are just amazing. You know, Jamie Paul Lamb is another brother of mine that, you know, it was on my show. We did a lecture, and he's actually a frater. You know, he's a Rosicrucian as well. So it's Rosicrucian part of SRICF. It's a branch of Masonry. And anyways, Jamie's amazing. He's written 3 books. He's an amazing lecturer. He's way into Western esotericism, like deep into it. You know, he studies all kinds of stuff. You know, we talked about the head of Baphomet for like 2 hours one night. So, you know, like, so, you know, he's amazing. He's a great guy. So, like I said, but there's other guys that are just like into it for the, you know, the fraternity and the camaraderie, and that's cool too. And I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying there's like that. You can find your own way. It's a choose your own adventure. There. It's a choose your own adventure route. You know, it's like that game you're talking about with AI.
Yeah,
you can make it up yourself.
It would be really robotic if everybody was the same. You know, I mean, it wouldn't be any fun if you don't have the differing personalities.
And it's cool though, because we all really respect each other and appreciate each other and love each other to let you have your own personalities. You know, I'm sure there's some people that are like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. And, you know, when I first started out, I was kind of nervous a little bit. And that's why I put like the big disclaimer, like, hey, you know, whatever I'm saying is not what any appendant body, any Masonic body is saying. Like, I'm not speaking for any appendant body. This is my own personal opinion. This is just me. You know, this is just what I am. And honestly, when I got into it, I was, you know, Ian Doley, I think you see him in the chat. Thank God for that guy.
Oh, Ian Doley.
What's up, James?
That's my dude, right?
James, how you doing, brother?
Apparently, he just needed to know about the pancake breakfast. So
he did. I'm sorry, man. I'll get you in next time. You can come in early. You can help me flip them. but he's the guy who reached out to me and was like, dude, you should do this. And I'm like, no. It's like, yeah, you should do it. I'm like, no, man. I don't want to get packed into the back of a van and disappear. I got a family and shit. Like, I don't want to. But, you know, he was really, really amazing. And I wouldn't be here without James. Thank you, man. James and I are in there. He's a great dude and amazing, you know. And he kind of was like, yeah, just do it, you know. And that's what, you know, made me kind of take the leap, you know. I did it, and with the fact that I knew I wasn't gonna make everybody happy, but at the same time, if they were pissed off, they'd come to me and let me know, right? Mm-hmm. That's how it works. The same way I hope the government comes and tells me, and don't shoot beams at my head or fake abduct me or whatever.
Oh, you know, that you've just given us some food for thought. James is the GOAT, by the way, but somebody else that, you know, someday she might be the GOAT and take over the mantle from James, and that's Deb.
Could never do that. I
Whoa,
could never.
man.
Don't put that pressure on you, man.
I mean, a week, 10 days. How long is this going to take?
I'm just happy to be really good friends with James. James is awesome.
We love James. He's amazing.
So
yeah, like I still got to figure James. One day I got to do like a James, like what? I mean, I don't know. James, like I've never seen James beef with anybody. James knows everybody. He's like the godfather of everything. You know what I mean? Like
all roads lead to James, man.
I know.
Can you play that music from The Godfather? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I
feel like one day he's going to call me.
So.
I feel like he's going to call me over to his house one day. He's like, okay, listen, you come to me asking a favor.
I made you an offer. You
can't refuse this. He's like, you gotta go on tour with Greer.
I'll be Enzo the baker. If there's a problem, I help you. For your father. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, James. I thought you, James. Okay. I'm just, yeah, it's true, though. It's true. One day we're going to be doing a CE5 and something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I'm waiting for James to appear. That's what I
yeah, well, next time you do a CE5, James is going to show up.
Yeah.
It's going to be Indoli. He's going to be like, boom.
That's my practice.
He's like, what's up? How much you bench?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hey, what are you doing? Hey? You know, but for my trip home in August, James said, I hope we get to see each other. So hope means it's not 0%. Right, James? We're above 0 at this point.
Just don't trust him if he says you guys have to remote view it.
Go ahead, Debs. Let me get this off before we just banter for the next 30 minutes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, we're having fun.
I'm going to go deep and serious. So give me a minute to set it up. Okay.
Please, some deep breathing, John.
So I went down the Freemason research rabbit hole, of course, to prepare for today. And
Oh.
at the heart of it seems to be the Temple of King Solomon. And what I understand is that the temple they said was designed with ritual in mind, with structure in mind, um, in a very specific way to protect the covenant. Now, my understanding is that they honored the builder who helped create the temple that protects the sacred text and secrets. Is that the crux of what Freemasons are about? Creating the ritual and the structure to protect the sacred and secrets.
Well, the building of King Solomon's temple was directed by God. Supposedly, the plans, the actual structure, right, the layout was all supposedly created as an instrument to be a mirror representation of the above, as above, so below, right? So the entire layout was created for that purpose. And all modern Masonic lodges are laid out in the same fashion. In the lodge room, predominantly, not the entire temple, right? The entire massive temple. So it's to reflect the beauty and glory of above, right? So that falls into, and a lot of Freemasons don't know the Hermetic principle as above, so below as well. So I mean, with the black and white tiled checkerboard as the floor, all these things like that were all supposedly laid down. And King Solomon his temple was commissioned by the head mason in charge of building that was Hiram Abiff, and that goes into a whole other it goes into a whole other allegory and basically story that you can pretty much research. I'm sure it's all out there, but it's part of the third degree of Masonry. So that is an allegory in itself of basically taking the rough ashlar, which is like a rough unpolished stone, and you start out with this big block of stone and you hone it, right, and you shave it and you carve it and you form it into a perfect square, right, a perfect cube. And that is basically an allegory for how you are supposed to live your life. You start out with it, as a rough kind of you're still learning things like that, but as you go, you learn lessons, you gain from life experiences, you learn from older, brothers or, people in your life that help you shape yourself. And that's kind of what the core of Masonry is all about, is making good men great, making good men better, those kind of things. Is like basically it gives you the tools to make yourself a better person, a better man, a better human, a better leader, a better person to say, hey, there's something wrong here, I want to fix it. Hey, there's people here that could be helped. How can I help them? And that's kind of what Masonry does all across the board. It makes you a better person yourself so that you can go then and make everything else better that you see that you need to. And that's kind of the allegory and the things behind that. And those are the lessons that they kind of teach you along the way. So it's kind of neat. I mean, I always felt that as before, but it's kind of neat to be tasked with that, to be like, you shouldn't let that person sit there and be in need when you can help them, right? You should, if you see something that you need to fix, you should fix it, or you should help other people help you fix it. You should make it better. And that's kind of like the core of Masonry, is like, look, you can make yourself better. And in doing so, help the whole entire world, which is awesome.
Okay, so you're saying the crux is more so about building up and making things better because of that. That's kind of the underlying theme. But I asked because everyone thinks Freemasons have, secret texts that they're hiding and protecting. And that's why, that whole parallel came to mind with the building being designed to protect the covenant and so on and so forth.
there's 3 degrees in Freemasonry. Never said that's the highest degree you can get as a Master Mason. After that, there's appendant bodies. You have the York Rite, the Scottish Rite, the Knights Templar. You have, Rosicrucians. You have all these other appendant bodies. But what they always say is the 3 degrees are the core 3 main degrees of Masonry, right? And there's nothing higher than that. So throughout the years, there was other stories and allegories they put in and created different appendant bodies that still had good morals and historical narratives and truths that were built into them. So some of those appendant bodies touch upon the Ark of the Covenant, potentially, and some of them don't. So it's one of those things where, is it another allegory? Is it a literal retelling of a story? I mean, I've seen the Ark of the Covenant like 4 times. But it's, made out of plywood and spray painted with cold Krylon. So,
Right.
But who's to say what's in it or what was in it? I mean, it's kind of one of those things.
It's a good price for Krylon because the Rust-Oleum, you never see it on sale. So
You never see it on sale. You're right about that. And, it's got the primer in it, too. It's
right,
primer
it's
and
true.
paint.
It makes it a little pricey. Anyway, so I'd like to shift gears. We're going into 4th gear now. Unfortunately, I didn't pay enough for a 5-speed, but but
I felt like I rambled. I felt like that was a big politician answer. I felt like I was like Harry Reid on that one for some reason.
No. Oh, Jazz Shaw said Harry Reid has yet to utter his last word. So I can't wait to hear what that might be. And Deb also has some theories on what groups that he may have been part of. But for now, what I want to ask
the Mormons? He was a Mormon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's some other groups. And I'll let Deb expound on that. I don't want to steal her thunder. And yeah,
Jeez,
James,
spill it.
I hear what you
Spill it.
I hear what
we were
you're
talking
saying,
about
James.
degrees. I can't
One
tell me
group
what
was Congress. It's
Congress. Oh yeah,
yeah.
that was one of them. Yeah. I forgot about that.
The Raven Aviary is what she thinks he was part of. The Raven Aviary. So, snap! I knew, Majerowski, I knew you were going to be a blast on this show. I knew we were going to love you, and we do.
Good.
So, but last time you and I spoke, I think we had a StreamYard, and we just talked about the connection.
It was me and you and Deb. We were just chatting it up.
Was Deb there?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember. Deb.
That's
the only reason I'm here.
Cool.
And I love you, DJ, but not.
Oh, well,
awesome.
thank you, Deb, for getting him to come on. Anyway.
That's the reason we're all here.
Yeah,
Thanks for remembering me, DJ. That's cool.
I'm
Not like-
sorry.
I was just teasing you.
It was a lot of glasses of wine ago. Okay, so anyway, you were talking about the cross-section between, and I had trouble with this, and so I think you might be able to help me out here, is between spirits, what I would think of as ghosts that haunt places, and the phenomenon that we see as UAPs or UFOs. And you feel a connection between those two things. So
massive.
Okay, please.
Yeah, I mean, if just read Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. I mean, that'll tell you right there. I can't remember who else did this as well, but somebody else recently just put out, the overlay of the UFO sighting map and like the poltergeist or whatever, like the ghost sighting map or whatever it is. And I'm actually writing a couple books right now, believe it or not, 2 of them. So,
yeah, but not one where Jesus is a vampire and Nathan is. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Oh,
matter. Yeah.
no, but that sounds rad. I'll read that book
Whole
for
different
sure.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, can I write the foreword to that book?
Absolutely.
I'm going to be playing the main vampire.
It's true. He will be.
Where's your teeth at, Flair?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I want to make this. DeLong's going to put out his movie, and ours is going to be way better. Yeah.
Oh
you
my
don't have
God.
vampire Jesus, do you?
That's
Nope.
no, nobody's got
Nope.
that. Trust me.
Nope.
There's a collaboration has just been put together. This is almost like when Nathan met Exo Academian for the first time. But
Wow. He showed up and Jesus became a vampire?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Weird things happen, man.
I get it. You guys are in North Carolina. I don't want to ask.
Anything's
my
You got
possible.
Bledsoes. You got you got bases down there.
a
you
weird
got everything
state.
going on. It is.
Oh,
I
my
love it.
God.
It's great.
And Micah Hanks thought he was okay. We were coordinating for Micah Hanks, and we were dying to get him on the show. And he messaged today, "Hey, am I on at 9 tonight?" I'm like, "Wait, I thought you were in Brazil." And we were supposed to set a date. So that would have been ironic because we believe that Nathan, Exo Academian, and Micah Hanks are neighbors, essentially. So
I think they're the same person. I've never seen all three of them in the same
It's
spot.
true. Yeah.
Nathan, can you prove it? Do you have
Well,
anybody?
I can't. I'm sorry.
He can't. He can't prove it.
He's
Busted.
doing both voices on Liminal Fringe.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's just got like a little tweak thing. He just like hits it up on the side. Pitch shifted a little bit.
This is
Just a bit.
ridiculous, man.
He
We
turns
should be.
into Exo.
I'm gonna send you a check after the show. This is just too good.
I forgot the question. Was there a question?
Okay, yeah, there was a question there.
He gets
All
a
right,
check.
so-
Wait a minute.
yeah, Mazel Tov. I want the check.
Yeah, wait. Flair's like, I want to get paid. All right, so Nathan will take care of your benefits plan. Anyway, so this is the thing, John. So you're in Connecticut. You're at this conjuring house. You know.
Oh,
you have
okay.
the
So
little-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay. So yeah, so there's. So I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm writing a couple books with another guy who's amazing. I don't want to say his name. He's a really great dude, and he and I.
I'm just kidding.
No, so yeah. And he kind of got me hip to it, and we've been really expounding upon it. But basically, there's a massive overlap, and he came from the world of the whole. I'm going to go investigate this whole poltergeist thing where there's stuff flying off the wall, the kids can't sleep, the dog's getting harassed, people, like there's stuff flying out of their drawers and all this shit. And, didn't see the UFO side of it. And then, the orbs were a part of it and all these things. But then he started overlapping the whole UFO sighting thing. And it was like verbatim, one for one, boom, 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 boom. Like all the places that he went out and, he's got like the tri-field meters and he had like people that went with him and they did all these things. And he said that, a lot of this stuff was like the refrigerator was screwed up. The electrician had to come in and like, they do like a legit scientific investigation. They get somebody to come look at all the electrical in the house. They come to look at, make sure that your sewer's not backing up and you're getting methane and, you're seeing, they do it legit. And the ones that they can't explain has this massive correlation with UFO sightings. And it's always like aerial phenomena and things like that. And it's not only that, it's like the cryptid thing too. It's like, or, like people saw Bigfoot or a wolf or, like any of that stuff, a bat or, like some giant thing, and it's like, there's these pockets of just mayhem, that happen and people get kind of caught up in the middle of it. And, and I think that's kind of one of the biggest, we were talking really early on about, the drama on UFO Twitter and all those things. It's like, well, the UFO Twitter people don't talk to the Bigfoot people and the Bigfoot people don't talk to the ghost people and the ghost people don't talk to anybody, and it's like, man, everybody just needs to talk to everybody because, until we can share data and get into a what are the words I'm looking for? Deb, help me out. Like where it's like, it's okay to talk about everything. What's the psychological term when you talk about it's okay to talk about all these things.
I'm just going to call it being open-minded. I mean,
well, there you go. I thought there was their term for it, but basically it's like you're open to express all of your feelings and emotions without judgment, right? Or you can just get up here and say, yeah, I saw a ghost. Okay, cool. I saw a Bigfoot. Oh, all right. I saw a UFO. Yeah, cool. Well, my refrigerator flew open and all the ice flew out of it. Like, all right, cool. So is it the same thing? Is it something different? Is it whatever it is to the individual person experiencing it at that moment? Possibly. Are you influencing it yourself by whatever your bioelectrical chemical makeup is? Maybe. Is there a magnetic field disruption? Is it all of those things? Probably. I don't know.
I feel the difference. I feel it seems to me, and this is just so. I want to just take this with. I'm open to any possibility. This is just what I think and what I feel, and I'm open that I could be completely wrong about this. I feel like ghosts are representative of humans' spirits or consciousnesses that have died and have, for some reason, decided to remain in a physical location for either a positive reason, for, as they tell mediums sometimes, that there was business that was left unaccomplished, or possibly for malice that we see in instances where they're violent with someone in the house, either physically or something. And I feel like the phenomenon that I think of as, and I'm just going to use the term UFOs, I'm thinking of as something that either comes from another dimension, something that comes from possibly a different time space and then enters into our time space to look around, as they did with the Navy, kind of surveil, see what the Navy's doing, these types of things. So I see them as different things. One of them used to be a human that is for some reason connected itself to a specific location or person, because sometimes there's that hitchhiker. And I think of the UFOs as something that is coming and interacting with us for a different reason.
I have no idea.
I don't know either. I'm just, it's just a feeling I have. I don't know that I'm right. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and by you feeling that makes it true to you.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, but I'm open to be wrong.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, I when I was a kid, I saw ghosts. It scared the shit out of me.
Like a person type thing?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my God.
And it wasn't until I was 17 or 18 until I met a lady named Chris Woodyard. She writes these books. She's got a giant series of books called Haunted Ohio. She's got like 10 of them or something like that. Amazing, right? She's an amazing author. Nice lady. And I was working at a radio station at the time in Dayton. It was Halloween. We had like the Halloween thing, and it was like in a building from the 1800s, and it was like, you know, it was a slaughterhouse in the 1800s, but they turned it into a radio station.
Wow.
Amazing,
Perfect.
right? So I got to work overnights, right? I got to do 10 p.m. to 10 a.m., right? So I was there by myself, and I saw some weird stuff, right? Like chairs spinning in circles and all this other shit, like just weird stuff. And I asked her like off the air, I'm like, look, this is what I'm seeing, whatever. And she looked at me and she's like, you could stop seeing it if you want to. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you just tell yourself you don't want to see it anymore. And when that happens, you're like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to see it. I'm like, that's it. She's like, that's it. That's all I got to do. So the next time something that happened, I was like, nope, I'm done. And then I didn't see anything anymore for a long time. I'm talking about 10, 20 years, 15 years or something like that, right? Until I allowed myself to be able to open to whatever that was because it really scares the hell out of you, you know? And because you don't know what it is, you immediately go to the thing like, oh, it's my dead grandma, it's whatever, right? You know, I don't know what that is, but the power that you have mentally to be able to or to not experience those things is massive, and it's so undervalued. So she taught me that. She taught me that you can allow yourself to do these things or allow yourself not to do those things. And from my personal experience, I find that to be true. But like I've said this before in a couple different interviews, it's harder to turn the knob back on than it is to turn it off. It's easier to turn it off, but because, you know, all of the social implications or whatever, like, you know, and all these other things. And plus you just don't want to be scared. You know, I'm just going to try to go to the bathroom at 3 a.m. I don't want to see two people hanging out in the hallway.
Got no time for that.
Yeah, right. I really got to go take a leak, lady. I don't.
Give me that toilet paper.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If you're gonna do something, clean up. That's exactly what I did. I got really pissed because this thing came out, and I'm like, look, if you're gonna be here, do the laundry or something, because I got nothing to do right now. Like
Cook
help
or clean
out,
up or do
help out or
something.
get out. Like help out or get out. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean,
But
just
after
like
that, yeah.
you know, just like you talked about earlier about the cornerstone and things that you started to see as you became a Mason that had been there all along. You know, the truth of the matter is that we're born into a world that is already putting the blinders on us and is already, you know, kind of keeping us in a lane. And so I agree with you. It is really hard to open the valve. It's a lot easier to shut it because in many ways it's already shut when we get here. And so
shut here and then preconditioned by society and your upbringing and whatever else is just shut down. But then you look at the cultures like India, where reincarnation is just welcomed and embraced, And they find these people. They're like, hey, my daughter was born with this giant birthmark on her chest. And she's like, yeah, I got shot by the guy that's 2 villages down. And then they go down 2 villages and she's 4 and they take her down there and they're like, oh yeah, this is the guy. And that's my grandma and that's Aunt Sue and like all this stuff. And they're like, yeah. And then, you know, like that happens a lot in that, in that society and in that culture. Right. But here, you know, my dad told me a long time, he's like, if reincarnation happened here in America, it'd be so bizarre because everything changes so often. It's like, do you imagine that, like, if you reincarnated, like, you know, it's 50 years, 100 years, whatever. It's like, shit, there's a Taco Bell where the house used to be, you know, there's all these things that are different. You know what I mean? Like everything would be completely changed. You wouldn't have your bearings or whatever. And plus we don't have the cultural or psychological makeup to even embrace that idea. We have no embracement of that idea, but other cultures like India specifically are like, yeah, this is what's going on. Cool. And there's so many stories out of India about that. And that's just completely overlooked.
I don't mean to break in Nathan's, because Nathan's got the con right now, but do you have a place that you want to explore in the world that you would like to take all of your knowledge and all of your sort of curiosity to?
South Carolina. It's right down below you, man.
I never go there.
That's him. I'm in Florida.
It doesn't exist to me. I stopped. I said no to it a long time ago, and
No, yeah.
it's just not there anymore.
Why is it not a Carolina? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I digress.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. Well, I think man, there's so many themes that I wanted to touch on with what you just said, but as you know, I'm a very community focused person, and I think that one thing that I think we're all kind of struggling with in the 21st century is virtual community. How we make virtual community work. Those of us who've been in real communities, like meat space communities, like we've inherited long traditions that have preceded us that allow that community to have cohesion, meaning, value, and there's something really tangible about that. In the virtual space, it's much more difficult, I think, to kind of create that. What are some things that you think we can do to better cement our virtual communities, where we can kind of extend open hands as opposed to closed fists when we engage with each other?
That's a really great question. And to me, it goes back to empathy, and that's kind of where I live. And I think that's probably just the way I was born and the way I act. But, not always. I guess it's been reinforced, throughout my life because it's such a superpower, Empathy is a massive superpower. Buddy Bolton, I think he told me that empathy is a superpower, and it's true. You don't have any idea the struggles that other people are going through at all. Like you really don't. I mean, you can try to put yourself in their shoes. You can try to, wrap your mind around what they're dealing with or whatever. And we're such a reactionary species, right? And your partner in crime who doesn't have a face, has a great analogy about this, and we've talked about this too. Exo Academia, he and I talked about this where it's like, we have these things built into us that are knee-jerk reactions. And the analogy I think that what we talked about, expounded upon, was about spiders, right? Like I'm scared. I don't know why. I was just born. I don't like a spider. If I see a spider, I'm just boom.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just done. Like I don't care. I'm killing every spider I see. I don't know what that is. I don't know why. It's
arachnophobia.
Right, but I mean, it was built into me, and like it wasn't like a a thing, right? But I mean that was a thing, right? So once I started recognizing that, and after we had that conversation, him and I, and then I started seeing spiders everywhere. They just started fucking showing up like everywhere, like, blah, 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 like just coming. And I'm like, I really shouldn't kill you. Like that right. Was the wrong move. But I don't like you. I really shouldn't kill you. But I just, so it takes a lot of self regulation and restraint to be able to go against whatever that initial push is, mentally, physically, or whatever. and I can't remember where I'm going with this, but I think him and I talked about it, or maybe he's talked about it before. That's like, what if another entity that showed up from a dimension, a craft, or whatever, that showed up and it looked like a spider, right, or something that you really just immediately just want to punch in the face, right, like a immediate gut reaction, like. How do you stop yourself from doing that? And like, how do you stop yourself from doing that as a whole? You know, it's like if this thing showed up and it was like the nicest thing in the world, but it was a 8-legged hairy spider. it just wanted to give you like the secrets of the universe. And the first thing I do is just punch it in the grill. Bam. Like, you know, like how do you harness that instinct that's built into you? And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's meditation or getting to know yourself or putting yourself in a situation where that sucks and learning how to overcome it. I'm still learning every day. I don't know.
I can actually speak to that a little bit, John, from your point, is that I think it was Dominic Monaghan who famously was in Lost, that movie Lost, and he's been, that television series, that hit TV series Lost. And he was on with Joe Rogan. He was talking about ants. And he went through this entire diatribe about basically how intellectual ants are, how they work together, how valuable they are, and how, you know, people will run over ant hills with their cars. And it really struck me. And so what I started to do after that, because people come on their show and said, well, you say that you shouldn't just indiscriminately shoot a squirrel, but yet you'll just, crush ants or some sort of an insect. So I started taking things and putting them outside. So if there's some sort of an insect in my house that I don't want on there, I'll just try to grab hold of it.
I'm doing the same thing.
I open the door, and I just put them out. I just put them outside if I don't want them in there. But I don't set ant traps anymore, or I try to just leave them alone. If I'm out in the forest all the time, like these guys know, every weekend or when I'm off work, I'm out there. So if I see something, I'll just try to go around it without stepping on it, if it's not bothering me. Now, obviously, when there are certain flies that hurt real bad that are on my neck, your instinct, you hit them.
Oh yeah.
But if they're not bothering me, I'm not bothering them. So I just kind of look at it that way. I live and let live. If you're not bothering me, you're okay. Whether it's a snake or whatever,
It's hard to get into that groove. I mean, and I think it's probably bred into us for survival at some point, where a spider bit somebody, killed them, and like all these people are like, yep, nope, that's not going to happen anymore. Same thing with a snake. You know what I mean? Like at some point it's, I think I was really fascinated. I remember seeing this documentary, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was on something where it was like it was like right during World War II or somewhere near there, where Russia started domesticating foxes. And it was like this lady who was like in her 80s or 90s. And basically what they did is they took all these foxes and they put them in cages outside. And this lady would walk up to them and she put her hand next to the cage. And if the fox would be like, whatever, and it would just attack the lady, and then she'd go to the next one and the fox would just be like, whatever. And then the next one, the fox would come up and kind of sniff her. Right. And she'd do that and they'd find like a male and female and then they'd breed them. And they kept doing that. And it was like 70 years. They did it for 70 years. And the foxes' like ears got smaller, their tails got bushier. They basically created a domestic fox after 70 years, after this breeding of like taking like the chill foxes and breeding them together to create this fox. And now they have like domesticated foxes. And they did this all through the war, like all this stuff. And like in Russia, they had this program. So it's like, so now they have like this generational thing where like it's bred in, and it's like, and I think they've done massive research to where it's like, I could be completely wrong. So, but I think it's like 7 generations where an inherited trait is bred into you. So like 7 generations ago, I inherited a spider being bad. And so for me, it's just bam, and that's what it is. So if you think about that in the long run, like how many thousands of years have we been inherited, whatever our traits are, right? From, I like whiskey, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was around then. I don't know. Maybe not. But honestly, I think that's like that's a legitimate thing that you can look up. It's an inherited trait after 7 generations. So who's to say that somebody could potentially manipulate our genetic predisposition or our reaction to a certain person, place, or thing to it's conditioning, right? Basically, it's just mental conditioning or physical mental conditioning, all of it.
Right.
Nathan, do you think we've been manipulated?
During this talk?
Yes. Definitely.
No, not just by you,
During
John. I
this
mean
talk.
by
Oh
another
no, I was talking about
entity
Deb.
beyond you.
She's not saying a lot, but she's saying a lot. That's
You
what I'm
gotta
saying.
watch Deb.
know.
I do think we are manipulated by things we see, seen and unseen. Let's put it that way. And I think John would concur, with his understanding of symbology and the way that it shapes the way we think about the world. So that both generationally and in our current present moment, we are shaped by forces of our own awareness and those things that we are not cognizant of. And this topic, both I think with the community aspect of it, but also as we just talked about with the paranormal, our ability to engage with it. And I keep. And James just picked the perfect title for his channel, Engaging the Phenomenon. It's to have a relationship with anything, you have to have engagement. And to have understanding, you have to have engagement. So this is true for human relationships, and it's going to be true for non-human relationships. I think that the universe is teeming with life, both seen and unseen. There are many, many different kinds of, sort of intelligent things that are out there. And it really is, it's just a matter of our awareness, kind of broadening our willingness to say, yes, there might be something to this. And sure enough, things kind of fill the void or the door that we begin to leave open. And what does that say about our kind of who we are and our mental, sort of the ways our minds interact with reality. To me, it's all intertwined. That's why, you really can't take the paranormal out of ufology. It really is all connected. It's all happening in conscious experience.
Maybe that's the bridge, but you can be, and I think what you're saying is you can be manipulated by programmers at your favorite news channel and or an unseen intelligence that is around you that you don't see.
Yeah.
Okay. Flarius, what you got, man?
Oh, I like pie. Pie's good.
Pie or cake,
Yeah.
John? Pie or cake?
Pie or cake. Star Wars or Star Trek.
It's a tough one.
Okay.
He locked up, man. He totally locked up.
You don't want to offend either side, because they're in the audience.
He's like
They gotta
Captain
be.
Kirk, Luke Skywalker.
Be careful, buddy.
God, I've had cake
Uhura,
that
Leia.
had pie in it, and I've had like pie that tasted like cake.
Oh, he's not even going for Star Wars or Star Trek. He's staying on the
She
pie.
said, I know, when you told me pie or cake, I just got really hungry and like
No, this is great.
weird about it. And,
That's cool, man. No.
sorry.
Nathan's going to be pie. I'm like,
I
90%
like
sure.
pie too.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Who doesn't
I
like pie?
actually,
Come
Have
on.
you ever met anybody that was like,
I
nah,
love
man,
pie.
I don't
Team
like pie.
here. Yeah.
right?
I've never met anybody said that about cake either. Like, listen, man, I just don't like cake.
cheesecake.
If they say you don't have to have a relationship.
Both worlds.
So.
I've never
Right.
met anybody that didn't like any of those things that you just
Right.
said. But so,
Kev,
I'm
it's
sorry.
That's how we should greet the aliens, with pie or cake.
Mhm.
Tell
Yeah.
them.
Come on. Right.
This
both. Here's a pie cake.
Mm-hmm.
They want to
She's
give
fake.
us pancakes.
That's true.
Oh,
Pancake.
thank you.
Yeah.
God,
Waffle
Deb's-
House hash browns.
Hey,
Deb.
it's a rare moment, Flair, when we're looking to you to get us back on the rails this time.
Okay. Well,
Can you imagine all of us
I
walking
got it,
into the
actually.
Waffle House at 3 a.m.? Can you imagine all of us just coming in
It'd
there?
be an amazing
Listen,
night.
We're going to
at
tell you
Waffle House.
guys something
Yeah.
real cool. Here we go.
That's right. Guys, actually, for John, I just want to know what the overall message or goal is of your channel. What do you want
rad.
to what do you want to bring to your audience? The overall. Yeah. Tell us.
Well,
Tell them.
Dude, that's a great question. That is a really good question. So
Thank you.
in Dolly and I am like, what am I going to do? And he's like, you have a different voice that I haven't heard before that that you're a Freemason, you're talking about this. And And I looked around, like I wasn't, I was looking and I was like, are you just making this up? But no, I couldn't find any other Freemasons that were talking about it. And what I really wanted to do was find other Masons, right? That was like the initial goal was like, hey, I know your brothers are out there. Yeah, DeLong, right? Actually, is a Mason, right? And there's other brothers out there, right? And I'm like, I can't be the only one. Like, I can't be the only one. Not only, you know, in our little Twitter sphere or whatever or environment, but there's got to be other brothers out there that are like, yeah, I know what's going on, and I got nobody to talk to about this. Like, I've experienced it, or I've been involved in it, or some weird stuff happened to me, or I know a guy, or whatever. You know, the bonds that we have and the, you know, oaths that we take for each other make it so that, like, I can tell you anything in the entire world, and I know that you're never going to tell anybody else about this, but I know I can trust you with this, and I can tell you about it. And even if it's just for the cathartic or the, or the, you know, just, I got to get it off my chest because I couldn't tell, you know, my mom or my dad, you know, or my wife even, because they would think I'm whatever, you know, even just to get that type of camaraderie, or just to like be that outlet, or just to be like, look, dude, you're cool. This is a real thing. You don't have to worry about, you know, like, don't freak out, you know, like this is, you know, a real thing. And, you know, I can help, you know, let's help each other or figure it out. And that's kind of what I was really into, was like, I know there's other people out there that are, like-minded in that. And then, like I said, I always feel like there's I keep bugging Walter, you know, and I'm like, there's gotta be something in here that, you know, in Freemasonry where it's like, where is this thing? You know, where is this consciousness connection, or where is the, you know, where is the key to unlock, you know, what we recognize as the phenomenon, right, around us, you know, and is that something that Freemasonry has always known that is hidden inside of the allegory and symbolism throughout history? Is it? I personally think that it is. I'm going to try to figure it out. I would love any other brothers out there or anybody else who can help me try to get to that path. But I really do think that there's something in there, and don't get me wrong, and I'm not sitting here on a high horse or saying I know anything more than anybody else, and I'm not. And all I'm saying is that I had to keep oaths and secrets to the degrees that I went through, and the rituals and the signs and symbols and the, you know, things that I did. Other than that, I can tell you anything I want to. But I think that as a human, when I went through the degrees and I went through the rituals, it did something to me psychologically, to where I'm different, and not in a bad way, but it kind of like, it's an initiatory school, right? It's a mystery school. It's something that I think was built, the way that they built the degrees was built in a way that it unlocks something in a human, where it's like, cool, now you have the ability to go to pancakes or figure out the mysteries of the world. I don't know.
Cool.
But that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Thank you.
I hope that makes sense.
That was a great answer.
And we got to get Debs in there. We have about 23 minutes left. Debs.
Okay, I want to go to human initiated contact. I think it's time.
James.
So, I guess I mean,
James
obviously, if you want, you can summarize a little bit of what's happening there for you. But I think I want to just get kind of like the takeaway for you with human initiated contact.
Like personally, or as a whole?
Yeah, I guess I want people to make their own decisions ultimately if they want to try it or not. But if you could, you know, give advice or, you know, let people know whether or not it's worth it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. And you know, nobody. This is I don't know if James is still there or not, but anyways, I'm calling him out. So, the first time I had a bunch of Masons together, there was 8 of us. We booked a remote cabin in the middle of literally nowhere, Ohio, where we didn't have electricity, right? We were off the grid. Solar panels, windmill, bank of batteries. We're in a cabin. There's an airport to the south of us, a small regional airport. It's a tiny little thing. But other than that, there was just black sky. And this video is on my channel too. And I got there and I was like, look, guys, and everybody kind of knows me, right? Obviously. I'm like, I want to do this thing, called C5, human initiated contact. What I want to do is kind of like all of us get in the mode. We kind of want to meditate, kind of get into this idea of opening ourselves up to bringing these things in, right? To be able to accept whatever's coming in and ask them to come and so we can see them. And I've been talking to these guys for like a week before, right? And I'm just texting them like, yeah, this is what I want to do. We're driving down. I'm talking to them about it. We get to this cabin. It's beautiful. We all get there. We kind of like go up. It's like, 2 stories, but the second story's got a deck that wraps all the way around it. So we all get up there and we're like all hanging out. We all get on the top deck, the deck, and we're just looking out. It's a beautiful blue sky, white puffy clouds, and all of us see like a white Tic Tac go from one cloud like to another one. And everybody's like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, did you see that? You're like, yeah, we saw that. And everybody's like super pumped, right? So we had like our day, we had dinner, we all cooked, we had a good time. We're hanging out, we had a fire. And I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. So one of our brothers, he travels a lot and he has like just this meditation music. It's just like, whatever tones. And so he's like, yeah, let's do that. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's just turn that on and let's all sit around. We're sitting around this fire. Let's all meditate. And I said, all I want you to do is just kind of get into the mode of just being accepting, not scared, just hopeful, peaceful. We're just going to sit here and just breathe in and out and just ask whatever it is to come to us. And basically, I don't know where I got this from, maybe James, but basically it was just, start, like if you think you're in Google Maps, right? And you think where we're at and just go all the way up to the universe as far as you can, and then come back down and just kind of think of, kind of sending out that signal of love, that we're here. So we're all just sitting there, it's just quiet. And we're just hanging out. Like 25 minutes goes by, we're just hanging out. We're like, okay, cool. And we're just sitting around, and then we all open our eyes. We're kind of looking around. It was like, that was cool because we're all relaxed. We're in this chill state. Nothing's really going on. And I bought one of those psionic color night vision cameras, right? Like that, cool, like, color night vision camera. So I'm just like, I have that sitting there, and we're all just sitting there. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, orange orb, just out of nowhere. There's light, you can see planes in the background flying around, and I'm like, holy crap. We all see with our eyes, and I'm looking at it and like I said before, I filmed it for so long, I was just handing the camera around. I'm like, it's the same thing we're looking at, but it's, a little bit enhanced, and we're just hanging out, and they would just kind of go and then kind of went over us, and it was amazing. We had a great night. And the second night, same thing, right? But second night, it was just more pronounced. It was just slower and just stopping and just hanging out and stopping and hanging out. It was getting to the point where my arm's tired. I'm like, okay, cool. And just handing the camera out. And it was just a calm, peaceful kind of feeling where it was just kind of like a, hey, it felt like it was just kind of like, hey, we're kind of here, we're hanging out, and it was really awesome. And like I said, being a Mason and all those guys were just completely open to like John's, even if internally they're going, John's out of his fucking mind, but they were still into it. But it's cool, right? We're all doing it, right? Like if somebody told me to pick up a banjo and start playing because they thought it'd be cool, I mean, I would try it because it was just fun. That's how we are, right? So that happened, like that literally happened, and it was just like, well, yeah, that can happen. So, James is like the dude. Like James has done that stuff without even trying, and any of us can do it. The thing is that if there's more of us, I feel like if there's more people, it's more of an amplifier. It's more of like a resonant amplifier, right? Where you get like 4 or 5, 2 people's better than 1, and 4 and 3, whatever. But it's not there. I'm not saying that you can't just do it by yourself. You can do it by yourself too. Hey, and it's
John,
just there.
Despite me, I am definitely signing up to go and do one of these in James, August 13th, when I'm there in New York. And by the way, he lives right across from my hometown favorite restaurant, like right across the street. But anyway, Deb has a concern about the CE5 protocol that she's expressed before, so I'd like her to address it with you.
I want to know this too.
Yeah, DJ, which one?
What you're calling in? What are you summoning?
Oh, yes.
Are you summoning
okay.
the devil?
No. Okay, no, I thought you meant because of the origin of the terminology and the concept. But no, that's another concern. But anywho, but no, it is a concern because at times
if Greer shows up next time I do a CE5, I'm never doing it again. I'm just saying.
If Dolly shows
I'm
up,
just
I'm
saying
doing
that.
it again.
Yeah, if Ian Dolly shows up, I'm doing it every day.
Absolutely.
I'll just say that I've already had a conversation with James about Greer today because I won't go into why. But yes. Okay. So I guess my concern is sometimes when I try to basically communicate, this is just the easiest way to say it, I get an impression that is like a warning of caution. And I imagine, I'm definitely not the only one who's gotten that impression of just being careful that not everything is benevolent. So that would be where the concern is.
Yeah, no, totally. I think if you go into the whole you're creating your reality with your mind avenue, if you want to see werewolves, you're going to, right? If you want to see angels, you will. If you want to see demons, you will. If you want to see, I don't know, trolls, you're going to see, it's just kind of like that whole, it's like whatever you're scared of or whatever you're, you can't put that out there. It's kind of, this is a really dumb analogy, but it's perfect. It's like Ghostbusters, right? It's like, don't think of anything. It's like, Ray, this is Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's like, it's like literally, I think that's literally what it is, it's like, I don't want to see the devil. Well, guess what showed up? It's like,
we're not going to talk about me, Bigfoot, and hiking right now.
I've said it's also a little like we're setting out a call and they may be coming along going, oh, it's one of our friends. Oh, it's a human. Why are they misdialing us?
Yeah, right. It's like, wrong number, dude. I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Dave's not here, man.
Yeah, Dave's not here. I'm going to give you a sunburn you're not going to forget.
Money Nathan.
I don't know how to come back from that.
You can't. And Nathan, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah. No, honestly, John, the story that you just shared, it evoked in me this picture of the ancient human family, out on the savannah, around a fire, just enthralled by the heavens, and seeing the sort of stories of their own lives, projecting those onto that celestial story, and vice versa. And I wonder, is the CE5, kind of act, is that something that is that kind of this residue of something ancient that we used to do just all the time, and it was more alive then than it is now, because that's something that we just did as part of our everyday experience. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Obviously when anything is part of if you take it back to that point, those people were 1,000,000,000% more connected to the biosphere, the ecosystem than we are right now, right? We're sitting in, we're basically doing magic. I'm talking to you guys all over the globe, right? And from my basement, right, where I have all these things and, all this stuff. Those people had like dirt caked in places that they're never going to get out, right? They're living like they were living in the biosphere, in the environment that we seldom do. We do, exponentially, right? We kind of go, we're going to go on vacation, or we're going to go out in the backyard, do a slip and slide, and oops, I got dirt in my mouth, but these people like live that, right? So I think when you're connected to that, you have a greater connection to it, right? And so like when we were out in the middle of nowhere, literally like and it's funny about this is Ian Dooley, if he's still here or not, I remember him calling me because like I remember him calling me like nonstop, and it was like I can't remember what it was going on, but it was like something got released. It was like a big deal, right? And we were down there, and like I didn't have any cell service. He's like, "Did you see what happened?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm on a mountaintop with my hand on a tree. What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "There was a thing," and I literally can't remember what it is now, but it was a big deal. It literally was a big deal. And he was like, "There was a thing," and I'm like holding on to a tree, and I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about?" And he was like, "Oh yeah," but he called me because that was red, and I appreciated that he called me. But like, you know what I mean? Like I was that far out, so I was kind of like more connected to that, and I think really we miss that. I think the majority of people miss that. You know? I mean, I think it's amazing that I can talk to all of you. I can talk to the world from where I'm sitting, but I think that we're losing our connection to like
Nature.
Yeah, and I'm like I don't like bugs and I don't like hanging out outside, but I recognize this, and I recognize that it's a deal, and I feel better when I'm out there. I feel better when I'm in it and experiencing it, and the sun's in my face and I'm dirty and I'm hanging out and just having fun. And I think that's a thing. I really do think that's a thing. And I think that more of us need to do that.
Well, then I seek your counsel, John, because Nathan is very aware of this. Flair is very aware of this. Deb is very aware of this, that I often will send them a message when I'm on my hikes, which occur, probably 3 times a week or so. And I'm wondering if I can summon Sasquatch or Bigfoot to come and say hello to me and the dogs. And Nathan is worried that I'm going to become sort of like, an hors d'oeuvre, maybe.
Don't bring the
some
dogs.
sort
The
of
dogs are like a snack in my mind. That's what I'm just
Korean
saying,
dumpling,
man. I'm just,
Yeah,
like a little shrimp purse.
yeah.
You don't need to. You don't need to bring that shit in there, man. Like, just leave the dogs at home and hang out.
So what's your thought about how I can summon an interaction with Bigfoot and whether or not I should? And James, also feel free to weigh in on us in the chat. And by the way, Debs, if you can pick a question out of the chat for John, that would be awesome. Go ahead, please.
You can summon whatever the hell you want. I mean,
okay.
Nikki Anna Jones is a cool chick, and her and I have spoken a lot. Look at Nikki Anna Jones is rad. She hit me up out of nowhere and was like, "Hey, let's talk." And I'm like, "Who are you?" And she's like, I'm like, "Cool." So she's amazing. She's had experiences that just still boggle my mind. But she went to Peru, or I don't remember where she was. She saw a unicorn.
Ah!
Yeah, listen to the story about her seeing a unicorn.
That exists?
I don't know, but she saw one.
Yes, they do.
Okay,
there you
Deb said
go.
yes.
See,
There you go.
Deb said
Valet
yes, they
talked about that during the Archives
Yes.
of the Impossible.
did. Valet did talk about it, where they genetically manipulated a goat to grow a single horn out of its head in the 70s. And they took it around, and people were like, that's not real. And they're like, yeah, it's real. And even geneticists were like, no, that's not real. And they're like, yeah, it's real. So, but they genetically manipulated a goat to have a unicorn horn. But yeah, she saw one that was like more of a majestic white horse running through the thing. I don't know. But, so yeah, I mean, you could literally, if you have enough passion in it and you really want to do, I mean, you can see whatever the hell you want. And that's where like the archons and all those weird things that happens, like Chris Bledsoe and like all this stuff, and the white lady, and like the white lady's been seen by a bunch of people, and Doily, and a bunch of other, like whatever else.
James,
I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like she's everywhere, right? And she's Hathor, she's Ayana, she's the goddess, she's the Virgin Mary, she's everything, everywhere, right? And I don't know if that's a connection to the earth. I don't know if she's Gaia. I don't know if she's the Mother Earth. I don't know if she's that thing and that people see her. I saw her. She came to me. I was a little bit upset. But Yeah, I mean, I think that's a thing where if you want to see her, you don't. And I only saw her after I had a inclination that she was there. Well, I don't know, it's just whatever. But you know, it's like one of those things where it's like if you don't even entertain the idea that something's real, it never will be real. But if you focus on that thing, it's like, I really think this is real and I'm gonna see it. Then you maybe manifest it into reality.
Well, about Gaia, I want to say thank you to Gaia because I think they've created what I would consider a very low-cost, quality yoga mat. So I want to say thank you to Gaia for creating that. I appreciate that.
Muzzles off to that. Yep, to that.
And also, I want to correct the record here. You, Deb, and I were on a talk space together, but when you and I had our conversation, it was on Zoom, and Deb was not there for that. That was just you and I. I said,
No,
you
I
want
was
to do
there.
this? No, you were not. No,
She
you
was
were
there.
not.
You had
No,
a
she
wave
was
in the
not.
background. Your background was a wave because you were hanging out with your high school thing. I was there.
What?
Yeah, your high school
I
reunion or
couldn't
something.
stay long, DJ. Remember, I had
I
to
don't
go
remember
because
that.
I was getting ready to do an interview or
Oh.
something.
Yeah.
And
I was there,
Majerowski
too.
was on with me?
Yeah.
On the Okay, I didn't even know I had this program yet. I thought it was done on Zoom. But anyway, we have a question from the chat for John because we got to let people have at least one. As long as it's not some idiotic question, we'll let
I
them
want
have it.
13 of them.
Go for it.
13.
Okay, so I had to go for a non-ET's question because it has to do with data. It says, could someone please ask John some good objective sources to learn about Masons?
Beafreemason.org.
That was easy. I think we
I-
might have time for another question.
Yeah, that was way too fast. Okay, hold on. There was another one.
We could get Flair or yourself back in there. There you go.
No, I did have another one that I think is sort of relative. How can you protect people from people who are fraudulent about being Masons? Like, how do we know someone's genuinely a Mason?
Ooh,
Or
that's a good question.
I should be clear, a Freemason. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's a really good question. So we know each other through signs, symbols, and other methods, right? It's a really great question. You know, ask them what lodge they're at. Ask them what lodge they're a member of. You know, ask them what year they became a Mason.
Cool.
Ask them, name 3 brothers, things like that, things like that. It's show me your dues card, like, I don't know, I got a couple of them laying here. Oh, show me this. Oh, it's upside down.
There you go.
Hey, yep, there's that one.
I should need to study. Are you accepting members?
We're always accepting members.
Wow.
Yeah, we're always accepting members. So that's the thing, like, it's sad about Freemasonry. It's sad and awesome at the same time where last year, maybe 2 years ago, every year the head of Masons of Ohio or the other state has like their theme, right? Where they're like, okay, this is our theme of Masonry. And they have like, they put it on a pin and everybody gets a pin, oh, you got a pin. And a couple of years ago, it was like, replace yourself. And I was like, oh, wow. So like, we're never allowed to recruit, right? We're never allowed to be like, hey, you should be a Freemason, because that's like goes against everything that we're. So it's like, if it's pretty universal. Is like, to be one, ask one, right? It's like, if you want to be a Mason, ask a Mason. Like, hey, can I be a Freemason, right? Yeah, cool. Like, talk about it. Like, so we're not just going out there and be like, hey, you'd be a great guy to join the Mormons, or like, we're not those guys that show up and you're like, like, sorry, I'm picking on the Mormons, but you know what I mean? Like, they're coming door to door, like, yeah, I'm here to make you an offer. Yeah, I'll come here. Well, you get a free fruitcake, and no, like, we're not doing any of that shit, right? Like,
Green Street's going to be upset with all these Mormon comments. Go ahead.
Is Green Street a Mormon?
Yeah.
He was. I don't think he is currently, but
Oh, really? Wow. I gotta write that down.
Drones.
No. So we don't recruit at all. But I mean, like, it was like because there's so many guys that are like in. So like the World War II those guys were like a lot of Masons and things like that. And there was all that whole rebellion, 60s, 70s, are like, screw that. I'm not doing what my dad did. I'm not going to be a Freemason because forget it. Oh, wait a minute. Like 3-4 generations of us have been Masons. Like, yeah, but I'm not doing that. You know, and then so like there was that whole thing, right? And then it was kind of like, oh, you guys are the Illuminati and you're just sacrificing kids and worshiping the devil and like all this other crap that's been going on. And everybody's like, I don't want anything to do with that. So there was like this whole wave of guys that were not joining or not even interested in it, right? So a lot of lodges closed, a lot of lodges consolidated, a lot of it's been shrinking, the amount of numbers. You know, it was like a bigger number, and it's just really kind of diminishing now. But honestly, it's like, you know, we don't recruit, you know, we're not asking anybody to be a Freemason, but it was interesting to see a couple of years ago where like, replace yourself. Right. So like it kind of like hit home for a lot of the older guys that were like, you know, not going to be here because like, if you don't have the tradition and you don't keep going with it, like it dies. Right. It's just one of those things that just fades away. And from my research, and this, I'm just going to put this out here. I mean, I'm sure you could probably read about it in one of my future books, but, a lot of the ancient mystery schools from all walks of life have hidden symbology and allegory and within Masonry. So the Egyptian mystery schools, the Sumerians, like from time immemorial, right, have hidden a little bit of it, where it's like, hey, these people are attacking us and they're going to kill our whole way of life. We have this whole mystery school. Okay, boom, we have that, and we take that with us. And that's kind of gone out through history. And I think that Masonry, in some regard, has kept a lot of those ancient mystery schools alive, right, throughout history, and just kind of kept it going. So it'd be really, really horrible now in the 21st century to see that, you know, just completely fall to the wayside. I mean, there's documentation and all those things out there, but still. So yeah, we don't recruit, but we definitely need people. And it's been awesome because I've had a lot of people reach out to me just from my channel and just from knowing me and doing, you know, shows like yours and things like that. They're like, yeah, how do I join Masonry? And I set them up like, hey, be at freemason.org, check it out. There's like a whole wealth of information there. There's like, is this for you? Is this something you're interested in? If not, whatever, talk to somebody. And dude, I'm always open. If somebody wants to talk to me, I'll tell you straight up what's going on. I'm not beating around the bush. I'll tell you legit what it did for me, what it does for you. And it might not be for everybody. It's literally not for everybody, right? But if you're into it and you want to make yourself a better human and you want to open yourself up to a bunch of stuff that maybe you're not even thinking about before, then cool, do it. But if not, the first third party in American political system was the anti-Masonic party. All right. So let that sink in. Right. Like they had to have like a third party where it's like, well, this guy's a Freemason and this guy's a Freemason. Well, we're going to just run on the anti-Masonic party.
This has been super duper interesting, John. I after that conversation with you that Deb either was or wasn't at, we don't know. I'm just kidding. I just said, man, this is a guy we just have to have on the show. And I contacted the cabbies and said, got to get this guy on, man. He is so cool. He's cooler than the other side of the pillow. And the other side of the pillow is sitting on a block of ice. So
I'm cooler than a polar bear's toenails.
You are. I'll tell you what, man. You lived up to the billing. So
I'm making that up, man. No, I'm sorry, man. I'm just joking around.
No, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you.
That's it.
No, hey, man. This is how we got to do it, man. Mm-hmm. But go ahead. Let me let the cabbie say goodbye. Goodbye,
the Dean Martin of ufology. I love you guys, and I really seriously. I'm always game to like whatever. Just hit me up. Email me. Whatever.
We want a round 2. Are you willing to say yes to that right now?
Oh my gosh.
I gotta ask my agent. Is he still there?
Okay.
Oh my God.
We should bring James back too. Hint, James.
Yeah,
love is the answer. Love is the answer. James,
get back over here, Ayandoli. Yes, get back over here.
Love is the answer. No, seriously, guys. Like seriously, give me the wildest question you got right now.
Oh, okay.
Nathan, go.
Oh my gosh. Wildest question.
No.
I have a wild one I can throw out real quick.
Do it,
do
Deb.
it.
Do it.
Go ahead, yeah.
Melon, Freemason, yes or no?
Did you see my
Lightning
video?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yes, we did.
I asked him. He hasn't responded.
But
I mean,
It's par for the course for
yeah, but I mean, you know what? I mean, I'm being a completely sympathetic and truthful here. Like, he's doing something. He's sticking his neck out, right? Right. He's really sticking his neck out for doing what he's doing. And to put that stamp on him right now would just fuck him up. I mean, publicly, you know what I mean? Because you have that whole side of everybody that's like, we knew it. Freemasons are running everything, and it's the Illuminati, and they're
Right.
devil worshippers, and they're evil. You know, you have all those people, and then you have like the few people like me who give a shit. They're like, yeah, cool, brother, I'm there to help you. You know, so like to him, that, and same thing with Tom, right? The same thing. Like, it just hurts him because of all the stigma and all the bullshit that's out there about Masonry, right? It's just, everybody thinks we're the devil. Everybody thinks we're doing some evil shit. We're running the government. Like, I wish I was running everything. I honestly do. I'm not running shit. So, like, I totally get it. But if he was, I mean, if he was, in my heart, I would feel happy because he's doing the right thing. At least I hope he's doing the right thing, following the tenets of Freemasonry, right? Brotherly love, relief, and truth.
It makes
it,
me
man.
sad, the stigma, man. It's like so many levels, right?
There are
On the
so
level,
many.
right?
There are so many things in our lives that are misunderstood because we don't know about them and we're ignorant of them. And I mean ignorant in a non-pejorative sense.
Right.
That we just fill in whatever, because it's something we don't know about. We just fill in what feels most comfortable, what makes us feel safe and makes us feel whole. And
Or we've been conditioned and heard forever that this is what this is. Like,
perhaps,
this is what
perhaps,
this is. Right.
yeah, perhaps,
Yeah. Totally. But like, not like, honest to God, I mean, I, you know, if you watch that lecture I did in my last video, it's just kind of like, man, I know for a fact, even if they don't, that they have to have at least a little bit of that in them to do better for mankind, right? To do better for everybody around you, to do better for everybody you can possibly make everything better for, right? That's kind of like what we're charged with, to like make everything around you and everything around you for everybody else as best as you can make it, to the extent of you can without hurting yourself, you know? And I think that's rad. I think if we all did that in our everyday lives, no matter what, we'd be an amazing species.
This is truly a mic drop moment, John, and I really mean that. I'd like you to, if you would, please tell people where that they can find your material, because I find a tremendous amount of value in what you have to say.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, and I appreciate you guys. It's UFOs on the Level, YouTube, Jon Majerowski on Twitter. Yeah, I'm on like all the podcasts, so like Spotify, Apple, blah blah blah,
Google,
blah, blah,
Stitcher.
right? Google, Stitcher, all of those. We're on there too. So yeah, I mean, I just try to find people that I'm cool with, like you guys, and that have a story and that are real people, and have love in their hearts, and just want to help everybody, you know. And that's kind of what I've done. So like, everything you've seen that I've done on my YouTube channel and stuff is just from like my heart. So that's where I'm at. And yeah, I hope we're all in this together. So I'm super, super appreciative of you guys and everything else that's been going on. And like, hit me up and let's just like surf it together. Surf the wave. It's coming. Just jump on the board and just hang out together.
That's the mission of CAB, and it aligns perfectly with what you said. So for Debs, for Flarius, for Nathan, this is DJ and Cab saying peace out, one love, and we will see you and Jon Majerowski down the road.
Mazel tov.
Peace.
Mazel.